clear that President Trump, he doesn't want to talk about this. This is him earlier today when asked by our producer, Kit Maher, about those Epstein files and those emails.
Sir, any response to the Epstein emails that mention your name?
So very quick there, but absolutely no engagement at all when it comes to President Trump. But there are still a number of questions. And I'll tell you, I talked to a number of Trump allies who have told me that they are perplexed by the White House's response to this, that there is a lot of confusion as to why it is that they are putting this out there in bits and pieces or allowing this to be essentially something that they are on the defense about instead of the offense. And I do just want to point out Manu's interviews there. I mean, that is absolutely stunning when it comes to this administration. You almost never see a break like that from what the administration is wanting and members of the Republican Party on Capitol Hill pushing back in those kind of numbers.
Yeah, and the man himself from all of that great reporting, Manu, is here too. Manu, what do we know about the schedule here? And if you could help us understand too, I mean, does Mike Johnson have to send this straight over to the Senate? I mean, what is the landscape coming up?
Yeah, we expect to vote probably earlier next week, potentially as early as Tuesday. And the big question is going to be not if this will pass, but by how much and how many Republicans will ultimately break ranks. And talking to Republican sources, they are bracing for mass defections from the White House. And the big number to watch here is whether or not 2/3 of the House majority will vote for this. And that, of course, is the important number because that is a veto-proof majority if it does get to that. In talking to Republicans today, it seems like that is possible at this point. Now, Trump, of course, will lay pressure down. Maybe they'll change the calculus here, but a lot of Republicans are making the decision that, look, we support full transparency. It's going to be hard for them to stomach voting against a bill simply calling for the release of these files that could shed new light over this sex trafficking ring. So that's going to be the big question in the next week or so. How many of those members that I've been speaking to, they represent a broad cross-section of the Republican conference. Many of the more conservative members have long called for a release of the Epstein files, but a lot of the moderate members, too, they are supporting this as well, including ones from swing districts who certainly don't want to vote, be on a vote that could give their Democratic opponents ammunition in a general election, which is a big reason why the Republican leadership essentially wanted to rip the Band-Aid off, have the vote next week, because this was coming to the floor at the latest by early December. So have the vote next week, let it be done with, and then it will pass. And if there is a 2/3 majority or even close to that, it's going to put enormous pressure on Senate Republican leadership to put this on the floor of their chamber because they have no interest in putting this on the floor right now. But big Republican support could change that calculus as well.
Let's be real about what's happening here. The media is acting like there's some massive Republican rebellion against Trump over these Epstein files. But here's what they're not telling you. Republicans supporting transparency isn't a defection, it's called doing your job. The Democrats and their media allies want you to believe this is about Trump being caught in something. But notice what's actually in these emails? Nothing. Literally nothing incriminating. Business correspondence from decades ago. Meanwhile, where's the same energy for Bill Clinton's 26 trips on the Lolita Express? Where's CNN's breathless coverage of that? This is another classic case of the media manufacturing a scandal because they can't accept that Trump won. They're fishing, hoping something, anything will stick.
All right, Manu Raju, Kristen Holmes, thank you very much for starting us off with this. And joining us now, a key member of the House Oversight Committee, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She also sits on the House Judiciary Committee. Congresswoman, thanks very much for being here.
Absolutely.
At this point, does the House Oversight Committee have, to your knowledge, more documents to put out? Do you know more about what these documents may say about President Trump or other powerful politicians that the public does not know yet?
Yeah, there's still more that committee staff is going through and determining what needs to be redacted before the release. And then we always consult with leadership on the Republican side as well before any drops are made public. And I fully anticipate that we will receive more, at least from the estate of Epstein. It does not seem like the Department of Justice has really been inclined to actually participate, which is one reason that we're talking about this discharge petition and talking about this vote. It's because we need something with a little bit more fire behind it to hopefully get the Department of Justice to finally start to cooperate.
And here we go. They bring on Jasmine Crockett because of course they do. You want to know what this is really about? It's about Democrats on the Oversight Committee trying to keep this story alive for as long as possible, drip-feeding documents to maintain a narrative. Notice how she says committee staff is going through and determining what needs to be redacted? Translation, creating a drip, drip, drip news cycle to hurt Trump.
Why is it that Epstein's estate, I mean, the Todd Blanch, the president's deputy attorney general now, he wrote this morning that when he went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, quite a moment, that law enforcement didn't have the materials that Epstein's estate hid for years and only just provided to Congress. Why is he saying this now, and why is the estate talking to Congress if not to the DOJ?
Have you ever heard of SWAA? That's exactly what we've got going on. And it was interesting because you made a Freudian slip. You said the president's attorney. You're right. That's who he is.
I should have said former personal attorney.
That's who he is, though. Like, I'm sticking with it. I get what you got to say. But at the end of the day, that's what he's been trying to do. He's been trying to do Trump's bidding. He has not been acting like anyone's attorney general. And we know that when it comes down to whether you're the deputy or whether you are, say, Pam Bondi, the actual AG, you are supposed to be the people's attorney. But she has decided that she wants to neglect the people and do whatever it is that Trump wants her to do, along with Todd Blanch. So here it is. He's like, well, I didn't have all the information. Well, sir, did you try to get the rest of the information? Do we know for sure that the Department of Justice didn't have this information? And if they didn't have this information, do we know whether or not they actually deleted this information?
And there it is, Crockett questioning whether the DOJ deleted information. No evidence, no proof, just throwing out conspiracy theories on cable news. This is what passes for serious congressional oversight in 2025? Here's the bottom line. If there was anything actually incriminating about Trump in these files, we would have seen it by now. The Democrats have had access to this material. CNN has been salivating over it for weeks. And what have they found? Business emails, professional correspondence, nothing. Meanwhile, the American people are dealing with real issues: inflation, border security, crime in our cities. But Democrats would rather spend their time on Capitol Hill fishing through 30-year-old documents, hoping to find a scandal that doesn't exist. This is why people are fed up with Washington. This is why Trump won, because Americans are tired of the political theater and want leaders focused on actual problems, not manufactured controversies designed to feed the 24-hour news cycle. The truth is simple. Republicans supporting document release isn't a rebellion, it's confidence. Because when you've got nothing to hide, transparency isn't a threat. Democrats should try it sometime. The Epstein files story exposes everything wrong with modern politics. A media desperate for scandal, Democrats obsessed with Trump instead of governing, and a complete disconnect from what actually matters to working Americans. Release the files. Let the chips fall where they may. Because unlike the left, conservatives aren't afraid of the truth. But the mainstream media won't tell you this side of the story. That's exactly why this channel exists, to give you the analysis they don't want you to hear. If you're tired of media lies, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And here's the important part. Share this video. The only way we break through the media's stranglehold is if you help spread the truth. Drop a comment below. Are you surprised the media is pushing this narrative so hard, or is this exactly what you expected? Thanks for watching. The truth doesn't need a filter, it just needs people willing to share it.